is satk0 and I would like to present a new R2 Parse API. As I said, I'm satk0 and I recently graduated from the University of Technology in Rzeszów, and I sometimes contribute to R2 World. What will be covered? I will explain how Parse plugins work and show the changes between the newest version of R2 regarding the plugin API, Parse plugin API, and I will show the real example of this API in my Affen plugin, and then I will just at the end present the ideas for the future. So, how does Parse plugin work? When you initialize your Parse plugin, then you can just go into any function and run it, and it would go through the Parse plugin special methods. And after this, you would be presented the parsed output, as you can see at the bottom. So, basically, what was the issue with the old Parse API? It was too hard to really understand, for me at least. It required many knowledge and asking a lot at the Discord forum, and the worst thing was that it didn't support any data storage. So if you have any wish to create a variable that would be passed through the methods around the Parse API as well as other plugins, then you are without any other possibility than creating the global variable in C, and it is a nightmare. That's the worst thing that you can do. So it was really, it needed a change. So how it has changed? The rparse plugin struct was renamed to rasm plugin, and I would explain all of these fields of the newest plugin later. So the first one is obviously the information about the plugin, and you can access it through the struct rplugin meta. So you can just, as you can see, you can name it, you can put your own name as an author and present the license, specify the license and any contact or copyrights, many things. Another thing, it's rather obvious, is that you can initialize the plugin, and as you can see, you are with a new argument type. It's a plugin session, and this plugin session, it is the thing that kills the problem with global variables. You can create your own data at this plugin session, and it would pass through all the methods, so that you can avoid using global variables. I will show you later on, because it's a special to the ASM plugin session, and other plugins have their own sessions, and I will show you how you can access this plugin session from the core session, for instance. So another is really simple. When you initialize the plugin, you finalize it, and you can just free the data, for instance, and so on. The most important for me and for this plugin that I created is the asm parse pseudo, is where you can just get the pseudocode string from the raw disassembly text, and this isn't really showing the full possibility of what you can do, but it's enabling you to name it however you want, and for often it's renaming the expressions, so it's really important. Another thing is a filter function that you can override, and it pretty prints the disassembler string, and for instance you can use it to reverse the order for x86 or the 80 and T assembler types, so that is important function. Another most important for me that I don't really implement it, but I would like to, is renaming any literals from the analysis, like flags, function names, and so on, because as I showed you in a previous presentation last year, I couldn't get often to rename the variables, like any string literals and so on, but subvar really helps with this purpose, so I would definitely use it. And the patch is more about writing to the binary your own prepared instructions, for instance your own text that you created with pseudo and so on. And I will now show you the real usage. Okay, so now going into the code, there is that is the main file of my Affen plugin, and as you can see, for now I'm showing you the core plugin definition. There is the meta information and call init and fini methods, but just remember that I call the call method with rcore call often so much calls. Okay, and the definition for rparse plugin, the new way, is by using rasm plugin. So as well as for core plugin, you define the meta information and define the parse method and fini one. So for now I would like to show you how you can connect core with parse API plugins. So when we go into the core init Affen, we can see we join the rasm plugin with rasm plugin add to add the, of course, Parse API plugin, and then we see we have basically two sessions, the one being rcore plugin session, and the second one is the asm plugin session. And to have the data between the two plugins, you have to find the right asm plugin. So that's the code right here. We first try to look for all the sessions in asm and see if any of it matches the plugin that we have, and then we just set the correct session of Affen to the one that we found, and then it is basically creating a hash table pointer and adding this pointer to both session for asm plugin and for core plugin, and then going to another function, we can just call from core the any command that we want, and we have the correct data from the session. Because the same data is moved everywhere, we can just see it with the parse API. The same, we have maybe a different session, but the same data is passed, and that's all basically how you can pass the data between the plugins. Ideas for the future include renaming parse to pseudo, making exchanging data between plugins easier, as I showed you, and having often support renaming string literals and symbols through subvar, as well as having multi-instruction support. For instance, when you have any number of instructions, often could let you rename it just into a one single instruction. And what's more interesting is to have often rules being exported into any JSON or R2 script file, so that you can restore them and not having to rewrite them from scratch. And also adding any test suite would be great, because for now often does not provide any testing, so that the code would be more stable. And basically it was all thanks to Pancake for providing these ideas for the future, so big thanks to him. And I would love to thank you all for watching, and see you next time.